Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Cosio, and it is time for the talk segment of About Mansfield. In the studio today, we're going to talk about the transition of taking a home-based business and turning it into a tremendous success here in Mansfield. And in our studio today is James Sellers, who is the owner. Are you the CEO?
I am the founder and owner
of Sellmark Corporation.
Yes, sir.
And you started as a home-based business.
I did, out of a garage. A little too cliche, but that is the truth.
That's right. You and I were neighbors. We didn't know each other, but we lived about 10 houses apart when you were living and working out of your garage. And it was shortly after we moved in 2004. When did you move out of the neighborhood?
Yeah, actually, I originally started it in the company in Capel.
Okay.
And we moved to Mansfield. We started subleasing a very small space in the MBS office park, if you know where that is.
No.
It's off Debbie and Business 287.
Okay.
Across from, not too far from the Performing Arts Center. Anyway, they have some nice small offices with warehouse. And we didn't have money to rent our own place on our own, so we subleased that spot. In 2002, started commuting. In 2003, I did move. I moved to the Arbors, and that's where you were living at the time.
Right.
Arbors of Creekwood, yeah.
Well, and so this, explain to the audience what Sellmark is and what you were doing out of your garage.
Sure. So actually, it's an interesting story. Originally, I created the company to be a full-service marketing company with advertising and sales consulting. And we were in Capel originally, and that part of Dallas was just booming. We had telecom.com companies and a lot of engineering support companies really doing some innovative things in Dallas. But these engineers and these companies were not really focused on the bottom line. And so we thought, hey, you know what? We know how to put Salesforce together. We know how to manage that. We know how to drive messaging and branding. And we can bring customers in and monetize those ideas. So we went out, and it was very well received, but the problem was the whole system collapsed in 2000 as we were getting that off the ground. 2001, of course, we had 9/11 happen, telecom.com collapsed in Dallas, massive layoffs. It was a terrible economic cycle. And so basically we had to pivot. So we decided to do what, my last name's Sellers. So the joke is when we're in trouble, we sell our way out.
Yeah.
So we looked around and tried to find something to sell, and we started importing outdoor products from Russia, of all places, in 2002. And originally we were doing that out of our garage. At one point we had a container that was blocking the alleyway. And, I had two small boys at the house at the time, and we were working to get this done. And the neighbors are complaining about the blocking the alley, no one could park. So anyway, we knew that couldn't work. You can't operate that kind of a business from a home for very long before people get upset. So we looked all around North Dallas, and really couldn't find a place that we felt that had what we were looking for, which is a good place to grow and to actually have some options for taking a small business and try to scale it, but keep our overhead low, our costs low, and fell in love with Mansfield around 2002. Started looking for a house, and in 2003 we moved here. So it's a great decision. I think everything worked out really well, and Mansfield's been an amazing supportive community.
So you lived in the Arbors for, I think you were only there maybe a couple of years.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting, this economic cycle thing. It seems like a reoccurring theme because we're in another one. But 2008, 2009, we were in another economic tailspin.
Right, 2008.
With the financial crisis. I think we moved out in 2009, 2010.
So we were neighbors for 5 years, didn't even know each other.
Right. But again, I traveled. I was gone all the time. I wasn't home very often.
But I wave at everyone, so we probably
waved at each other because I waved back. So I think the first time that we actually got to know each other, do you remember when that was?
I don't.
We were sitting in the gymnasium of the middle school. You were sitting there, and I sat next to you, and we started talking about music. And we were talking about the importance of music in education. I don't know if you remember that at all.
So in middle school, that was probably Worley.
It was Worley.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think we volunteered to be parent chaperones for some after school thing.
Sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
And
so that's when we met. That's the first time we got to know each other.
I had. Yeah. It's funny how when you've known someone for so long, they go, do you remember how we met? And
the details are,
That's very cool. Yeah. It's better than meeting in a bar.
That's true. Which we have met a few times at bars.
So Sellmark, you're running this business out of your garage. You decide that I've outgrown my garage. By the way, what does Sellmark manufacture? What do you sell?
Yeah, so now we literally went from a marketing company to a manufacturer of multiple brands and multiple technologies. We manufacture in Asia, we manufacture in Europe. So our main product lines kind of fall in several brands. So the first brand that we launched, and it was born here in Mansfield, was a brand called Sellmark. And in 2007, we kind of were looking around the marketplace and try to think of some ways to innovate and bring new technologies to the marketplace. And we're looking at all this interest in black rifles, AR-15s. And the funny thing is, at that time, the industry was not really embracing it. The AR-15 was kind of seen as scary, kind of dark.
Yeah.
And the big optics manufacturers were still showing bolt-action rifles and very traditional type shooting. So we decided, you know what, maybe it's time for somebody to stand up and say, I think the AR-15's got a future. We like the fact it's very flexible. It's a very adaptive platform. It can be extremely accurate. It can be used for hunting and target shooting and home defense. So it had a great series of uses, but it needed a good accessories. So Sellmark came out to make the ultimate red dot, originally for AR-15s. And I think we've achieved that, actually. I think we make some of the best red dot technologies. We make rifle scopes, laser sights, bore sights, which help people sight in the scope and make sure it's accurate.
Optics?
Yep, optics are laser related. You know, the vision behind Sellmark is to maximize accuracy. Sure. So our tag is make your mark, which I think is a great thing for a rifle optic. You got to hit your target, right? And then also in life, you got to hit your target in life as well.
Rifle scopes and optics. How did you get from marketing to...
Right. You know, it's interesting. There's definitely many times where I was considering different careers. At one point, I almost went into real estate, was thinking about doing asset management. My sales background was actually taking care of Class A office facilities, looking for ways to improve efficiencies and help reduce energy. So it was an energy conservation type program that we did for commercial real estate, and I loved it. It was great. I loved the people. I liked just the vibe. The whole industry is fascinating. So I almost did that. But you know, I think the thing that really kind of led me to Sellmark was, you know, every company I worked for, there's just this major disconnect between the strategy, what the people, you know, in the ivory tower are thinking about, and what's actually happening on the front lines with your sales as they interact with the customer. And there's somewhere in between is marketing. Marketing is listening to the things that the strategists, the management, senior management is talking about, but they're not necessarily listening to salespeople. So many times we noticed that people were spending money communicating the wrong message to the wrong people. And if we could get sales and marketing to communicate and talk to each other, we could do a whole lot better job of meeting the market's needs faster and then get those products and those brands really to the market. So that's actually where the name Sellmark came from, the idea of combining sales and marketing into one strategy. Yeah.
Very cool. And I see that not only in corporate America, but back when I worked in talk radio, you had the marketing department, you had the sales department, and they're both just doing their own separate thing and get it together.
And then your question was, how did we go from that into manufacturing? Well, you obviously don't wake up one day and start, you know, manufacturing high-tech optics. But what happened when we started looking for opportunities right in that point where we weren't able to generate enough revenue from doing advertising and consulting services, we found a company that was here in Mansfield that was trying to launch a night vision brand. And it was a group of Russian guys. And they had a great concept, a great product, but they didn't know how to bring it to market. And they came to us and said, you know, what you're talking about, the cell marketing sounds great. Can you help us identify the market? Can you get us the branding? Can you help us push this into the marketplace? And so I wrote a proposal and handed it to them. They said, we love it. We want to do all of it. And I was like, okay, well, here's my account information. You know, go ahead and send the retainer. We'll get to work. They didn't have the money to do a retainer.
Oh, no.
So, anyway, and at that point, we were looking for any opportunity. So I made an agreement that I would do the marketing and sales and consulting, all the stuff they needed, as a sales rep, essentially, where I got a percentage of sales. And quickly that turned into us doing everything, and help launching this brand. And that ended up being a very successful case study of really this concept really was successful. Within 3 years, this particular brand ended up becoming the number one in its space globally with like over 90% market share.
Wow.
So the system works. It works really, really well. And that, after experiencing that's how we started seeing what was happening in the outdoor shooting and hunting space, and then specifically in optics, and started looking at where there's like so many areas that companies really weren't doing the right marketing, the right sales. And we thought we could fill that void.
You outgrew your garage, and it's time to build on Heritage Parkway. How easy was it to make that transition?
Yeah, so the first kind of, again, we grew with this night vision company from Russia for a little while. We built a building in Mansfield off Regency Parkway when that was empty. Now there's buildings all down Regency. Mm-hmm. That was 10,000 square feet. We ended up taking up all the space. And then we ran out of space, and we ended up renting a warehouse up in Arlington and moved our offices off Carlin, off 287 in Mansfield. So we were driving back and forth between the warehouse and the office. It was spread out. So at that point, we're like, we have to get control of our office where we get everybody together and collaborate. And at that time, again, that is in another cycle. We were dealing with the beginnings of another economic downturn. And so we were looking around for options. Initially, there were several opportunities, right? Banks were lending money, things were good. But by the time that we got to the point we really needed it, it was 2009, 10 again.
Yeah.
The banks completely stopped lending. We were looking at options in Fort Worth. We were looking at options in Midlothian and Grand Prairie. And I really want to stay in Mansfield. And so I went to Scott Wellmaker, which is somebody you might know.
At MEDC, Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Yeah. And I was like, we're really stuck. We want to stay in Mansfield, but there's nothing here. I'm getting some interest from some other cities, to look to increase their employment. What can we work out? And they had some land that they wanted to see somebody do a development off Heritage. Between 287 and 360. But at that time, it was a dead end. It didn't connect to 360 yet.
Oh, right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So they told me, someday this will connect to 360. It's going to be great. Someday it's going to be amazing. And so anyway, we put we worked out a really good thing, allow us to have a place to keep adding on to. Mm-hmm. So we agreed to build 33,000 square feet, warehouse and office. And we went to go get it financed, and the appraisal came back half of the construction cost. And again, it was during that weird time. And, at that time, we got very fortunate with a local bank came in, local banker.
Yep.
And they said, we're going to get this done for you. We'll figure out a way. We worked with the city. And actually, that time that we finally got to the point where we're trying to get all the pieces together, I was actually working on a business deal in Moscow. And I was on the phone back to the city council trying to work out the details to get this thing to work for us. And I had to get like a $2,000 phone bill for that, by the way. So fortunately, it got done. And, kudos to the city and MEDC. I mean, it was really a difficult time. And it was one of those moments where we were very close to not being able to stay in Mansfield. We love it here, and very fortunate that worked out. So we got the green light from the bank, and we constructed it, and I think we moved in 2011, I think, or 10. Man, it's been so long ago now. And then since then, we built on another 33,000 square feet, so now it's 67,000 square feet, and we are actually in the process of adding about 40,000 square foot to the building in the near term, hopefully get that done middle of next year. And we're going to do a whole, this really wonderful thing we're trying to do for employees, create this extension of the office, but it connects it to the outdoors. So One of the cool things about that spot is there's 40 acres of floodplain behind it that's eventually going to be part of the linear park, maybe 100 years from now, but someday it will be. And we are lucky enough to be able to have use of that in the interim. So we have over a mile of hiking trails back there for employees. There's even some fishing ponds or fishing tank. I don't know what the right term would be for it. But we're going to be creating this building that kind of brings that indoors. So big glass overlook. We're doing a whole wellness thing there where employees can do aerobics and work out to really create a healthy lifestyle for employees.
Oh, sure. And the younger run companies, the tech companies, the Googles and the Yahoos and this have that where your workspace may be on a walking treadmill or that type of thing that promotes the healthiness, and that's
we hope to create like one of the ultimate work-life opportunities for people to come and really be creative and productive and contribute, do something amazing, and live this outdoor lifestyle, but then also live it daily. Even though we're in the middle of a metroplex and expanding city, they're still going to get some green time. I think that's important.
Compare your business from when you were a home-based business to where it is now, and then also compare your lifestyle from when you were running out of a garage to now.
Well, it's actually a really interesting, full circle. But the business side is extraordinary. We have products all across Europe. We sell into Asia. We have some of the most amazing engineers and product developers and designers working. Amazing partners all around the world. So that is nice to see and to see our success. It's also nice to go places and people see my logo on a shirt.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, I have one of those. I love it. I use, this my son's first shot, first time he ever shot a deer was using one of your rifles. Or a TSA agent will say, I've been wanting to get one of those sights for a while, and my eye on this and this is a good one. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's the best. So that's great. When we first started, no one knew who we were and what we were doing. And it was a very public, very, noticeable market. So to not be known when it's a fashion symbol, what we do in the optics industry. So that was tough. Now it's great. And then have the scale. We can literally have somebody come up with an idea, say we need to come up with a new XYZ optic for a new pistol because the pistol is really popular right now. Right. So we're making those. So they come up with a new red dot for a pistol, and literally the engineers can start going to work on that, and we could have a prototype within a couple months. So that's pretty amazing. We also went from barely able to make ends meet to now we've invested in people and equipment and machinery. We now have lathes and CNC machines, so we turn on our own parts. And then we are assembling Kofigure. We bought a company last year, make shooting rests, the best shooting rests for snipers and for hunters. And we assemble that, make that here in Mansfield, which is really great. So that's different. On the personal side is extremely different too. I actually live in an apartment right now. So if anybody in Mansfield has a good insight into some available land to build or a house they want to sell, we've been looking for a while and just haven't found the right spot. So I'm recently remarried as well.
Yes, I was going to say that A, you look like you've lost weight. B, you're smiling, and C, you are newly married. So
which is it's great. Life is very, very good. It's better than ever. We enjoy living in an apartment. It's simple. It's nice. We live in the lofts downtown.
Yeah.
So again, for the Mansfield crowd, everyone knows all these places we're talking about. Really nice place to live. Obviously we're looking forward to getting a house someday. We actually got married right before COVID broke nationally. So we got married in February and came back, and then we were in quarantine for most of my married life. So
where'd you go on your honeymoon?
We haven't yet.
You haven't?
we were supposed to go in Europe for a month trip to meet some of her family and meet some of my partners and some of our business contacts there. That fell apart, obviously. But we were thinking about going someplace either like Greece, the Caribbean, and we never booked the trip. So we're waiting for that to happen. But yeah, I couldn't be happier. Very proud of my team professionally, and I've never been happier in my life. So it's great.
Let's give some shout outs. You got anything, anybody you want to, whether specifically or a team? You mentioned part of your team, but
yeah, no, I actually have a great leadership team. But I should mention my wife first. Myrna is a chiropractor.
Okay.
And so she's been a great inspiration. Kind of just been an amazing, unexpected turn of events for me. So anyway, give kudos to her because every day, she makes everything a little bit better, makes living just that much sweeter. So give kudos to her first. As far as the Sellmark team and our family, we have a really great staff and team. Most of them probably live not in Mansfield and surrounding areas, but a handful of people really stand out. My executive vice president, is a guy named Jeff Murray, fantastic salesman, an amazing businessman. He's been with me since he was an intern at UTA.
Wow.
And we actually have quite a few University of Texas Arlington graduates that work for us. And so he has gone from an intern to now executive vice president and has helped land the biggest distributors and companies in the industry, and led his team to great success. On the financial side, I have a gentleman named Chris Kirshen, who is our head of finance. We've done some amazing things to make things more effective, efficient. We're just managing a pretty big business, and we do it very, very disciplined, which is important. Without good discipline, you can't hire, you can't invest. That's really good.
Right.
A gentleman named Mike Bennett lives here in Mansfield as well. He is one of the most extraordinarily talented operations person, and somebody that really has a handle on technology. So I would give kudos to him for being able to scale. He's right in the middle of a million different projects.
Okay.
And he's like, James, you can throw me as much as you work. Just know it's going to take some time, and I'm with you. I see where we're trying to go, which is great. Another person I need to mention is Jonathan Horton. He's been with me also from the beginning. First time I met him, he was shirtless in the warehouse stacking boxes as a high school student.
Wow.
And he is now in charge of engineering. So he has more patents and developed products of absolutely revolutionary products, the best in the industry. And again, that's done here in Mansfield, which is awesome. So we have some really great minds here developing, designing the business, and really taking that forward. So anyway, that's probably the top of my team, and I couldn't have done it without them.
What's your favorite ice cream?
Favorite ice cream? I am a vanilla ice cream guy.
There you go.
I know that's boring, but that's the truth.
If someone was interested in purchasing a Sellmark, whether it's laser optic or scope, how can they find Sellmark?
All right. So our great AR-15 or rifle optics would be www.sitemark.com. That's going to be where you find the best quality red dots and rifle scopes. We also make some great digital night vision, some really leading technology. For the people that are looking for the best possible technology for hog hunting, which is huge, we need to talk about some of the details, but that's just becoming so popular, especially in Texas with our hog issues. We also go check out pulsar-nv.com.
Pulsar.nv?
Yeah, pulsar-nv.com. That's Pulsar Night Vision Optics, and gotcha. They're leading the thermal revolution in optics right now. So, in a big high level thing, just what optics has done has been able to transform people's ability to see distances into greater detail. Right. Well, we're now doing that electronically, digitally, and using advanced sensors. So now you can see heat signatures for a mile or two away. So anyway, the latest technology is available there. If you're interested, if you know anybody that's looking for a job, sellmark.net is our corporate website. That's also where you can find all the brands. And we're always looking for talented people and want to continue to grow here in Mansfield. Anybody that's looking for a shooting rest so they can be more precise, longer distance, Kofjäger is a brand that we recently bought, and that's also a fantastic product. Firefield for the younger people. We didn't talk about that either, but we have a brand that we've developed to get young people to go out and be proficient and safe and empower young people into the shooting sports and do it in a responsible way. That's fire-field.com. Okay. And you'll find a little more accessories and things for the shooting sports. We have several things on the drawing board, so we'll have lots of new brands, new products to come in the future. And again, thank you to Mansfield and for giving us a great home and having such a great place for us to innovate and create some things that have changed the lives of millions of people around the world. And we could not have done it without Mansfield, and couldn't imagine a better community to call home.
Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate Sellmark for being in Mansfield. Tremendous asset, and thank you for being on About Mansfield.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank James Sellers for being my guest today. By the way, this is part one of a two-part interview with James. He'll be back next week as well, although we're going to turn the tables. He's going to interview me. Should be fun. We'll be right back.